He's at his cross country thing.
I did this for him.
But he'll be on. All right, guys.
So much work. That took a lot of work.
We are live. Dale's paying tribute to Alex, who hopefully will get on later on.
That's your tribute, since he's not here, Dale.
I started to
Everybody's
ask.
good. It's time for another episode of Talking Preps. Let's get to it. All right, let's go to the rundown. Dale, what do you think was the difference between Chambers and Huff on Friday night?
Well, maybe not just Friday night, but I think both programs have similar types of kids, both athletically and discipline, et cetera, wise. When you look at a program, you got to look at two things. There's coaches and kids, and the better the coaching staff, the better they can bring kids up. But you can only bring kids up to some level, and then you have to have better kids to excel up to the next level. I think just from what we're seeing that maybe the coaching staff is a little more gelled at Huff. Not saying they're better coaches, but that chemistry of making a team come together might be just slightly better, because I think from a player perspective, they're fairly even.
Okay.
How much improvement can Huff have in the game? If you were watching the game, like Gary, you were watching the game, correct?
No, it wasn't on the network, so you had to be there.
I got you.
But from what I understand, just from talking to several people, that the difference came down to special teams, which happened last year in the first game, and penalties, which happened last year in the first game. And if you remember last week, I said if Foot Locker got involved, if Chambers had over 100 yards in penalties, they were going to lose.
And Grice also said special teams. They had some special teams issues as well. So those are things they're going to definitely have to clean up. Chris, what are your thoughts here?
Well, you're right, Gary. Foot Locker got involved in special teams as well. I really think it comes down to those special teams plays, the couple miscues with the pump blocks, so on and so forth. But Chambers really, but Huff really wasn't able to capitalize. They had the one pump block and then turned the ball over on the very next play. But really, I just felt it came down to execution. I thought that Huff executed very well. I thought they played about as good a ball game as one could play. I still think the talent on both sides was incredible, and I still come away from this game thinking these are the two best teams. But kind of a little bit of a combination of what all the other guys said, a little bit of coaching, a little bit of athleticism from one team to the other, mistakes, execution. It just kind of came all together to give the cumulative result, but it was a heck of a ball game. I came away thoroughly entertained. You could tell these were two incredible teams. Both of them played with a lot of passion. They both played as hard as they could down the stretch. I could just see a lot of guys laying it out there, really giving all they could to win. And you got to walk away, even as a coach of a game like that, happy with the performance and the effort that your players put forth.
All right. Gary, is NC State as good as they look, or is Clemson in real trouble?
It's hard to say with NC State because they've always had a history of knocking off the top team in the ACC by every 3 years or so. When Florida State was in their heyday, State used to be the one to get them, and now it's Clemson. The thing that has always happened with State is they never build on it. They have that great win, and then they have a letdown the next game or game after. So I think they have the potential to do that, but they're going to have to get together back-to-back wins after a big game before I truly believe in NC State. But they played an awesome game on Saturday.
All right, Sam, we're going to come back to you later on the show. Just hold that thought. We'll come back to you later. Grice, are the Patriots 1-2 if Cam Newton is the starting quarterback?
Absolutely not. I mean, I think there's a situation, and I think Bill Belichick knew that. I think it's one where he wanted to grow with a young rookie quarterback, and for better or for worse, they are where they are in the short term. Bill's betting on the long term here, and that Mac Jones will continue to grow and develop and become that quarterback of the future. So I think he's sacrificing some short-term success for a long-term, hopeful success there in that same situation.
Gary, your thoughts here?
Exactly like Grice said, he's sacrificing the short term for the long term. I think by the end of the season, Mac Jones will be better for it. Cam was only going to be a short-term answer anyway, so Belichick went on and bit the bullet. It's the same thing the Tar Heels need to do now. They need to go get quit worrying about the short term and put them freshmen out there for the long term.
Absolutely. Chris, is Wake Forest the best team in the ACC?
I don't know that they're the most talented team, but the best team sometimes is the most talented, and I think they're playing the best. They've got a great cohesion of talent, some local, some from other states, but I do think they're playing the best right now. That's not to say that they're going to be playing in the ACC championship game here in December, but I think they're playing as well as can be expected, and I think that they're at least putting forth the best effort.
Grice.
Yes, sir. Langston, I love that you asked this question. Hey, Coach Clawson's doing what he did in the past and what we knew he was going to do when he came to Wake Forest. Wait, this is that year, though, the year Wake Forest won and beat Georgia Tech in I think it was 2006. Hey, this has that weird kind of flavor to it, though, that same situation where the leaders were a little muddled, had their own issues, and Wake was able to sneak in there to the Atlantic title and get in there and win that title. Really feels like it this year, so I do think, hey, we're the best.
Wow. All right, Gary, are the Panthers legit, and who wins Sunday, the Panthers or your Cowboys?
The Cowboys going to win. There's no doubt in my mind. Now, the Panthers legit, they haven't really been on the road and been tested with a good team on the road. They're going to get that test Sunday. So you can ask this question next Tuesday after the Panthers lose their first game to the Cowboys.
Woo.
Wow. Okay. Dale, what do you think?
I would like to think that they are. I think it's a little early. I believe if they're legit, they don't lose to the Cowboys. But I don't think we got enough material yet to make that kind of determination. I'm pulling for it. Would love to see them go undefeated. But I just don't think we got enough work to tell us exactly where they're at, but they'll win. They'll win this Sunday.
Who'll win this Sunday? Who you calling?
Panthers.
Panthers win this Sunday. I like that.
Yeah, it's the Cowboys.
Like that pick. Chris, UNC, is it coaching issues or a talent problem?
Well, here's what I say about coaching. We've got several coaches that have been on here. Dale has, Sam, Gary, Griner, myself. I very rarely am going to dig into what coaches are doing because if you're not there at the practices every day and you're not in the meetings and you don't know the personnel like they do, it's hard for me to go in there and judge what the coaches are doing. But here's what I do know. Yeah, the Tar Heels are struggling. There's no denying that. But they've lost a lot of senior talent and NFL drafted talent from last year. Just think of the running backs they lost in Javonte Williams and Michael Carter. And you replace that with Ty Chandler, who's doing good, but it's just not the same. And when now all of a sudden defenses can kind of pin their ears back and they can play the pass because they know that that's what Sam is going to do, I think it's so much easier to defend this Carolina offense right now without that two-headed monster in the backfield. And that's kind of contributed to some of the issues we're seeing.
Okay, Gary, before I get your follow-up, would you be wearing this shirt right now if you had not won last night?
Of course not.
My man. How about them Cowboys?
All right. Carolina, coaching issue or talent problem, Gary?
I don't think it's definitely not a talent problem. Okay. As Chris said, if you're not in practice every day, you don't know what the guys are capable of. But what I will say is now that they are a 500 team and probably have no chance at the ACC championship. It's time to lose young rather than lose old. You know, one of the things that Mac talked about is having depth this season because all those guys returned, and you had the fifth-year seniors and those guys. Well, those fifth-year seniors are not as talented as those freshmen and redshirt freshmen.
Right.
Okay, so it's time to go ahead and let those kids play and take their lumps now, so that next season you won't say, well, we're young. Go ahead and get the growing pains out of the way now, because the opportunity for the ACC championship is practically over. Go ahead and start playing for next year, so you won't have the excuse that we're too young when next year comes.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's time for one of our favorite segments. We missed it last week. It's time to see what's up with 60 Seconds with Chris.
All right, guys, can you believe we're already back here for 60 Seconds with Chris? We're going to give away some Gurus game balls. Can you believe it's already week 7 of the high school football season? Man, this season just seems to be flying by at a rapid pace. So here we go. Let's go ahead and wind up that clock, make this a quick session. Gurus game balls. We're going to give away some game balls, maybe not literally, but we're going to at least talk about you guys. But here we go. Let's wind up that clock. 3, 2, 1, and boom. Quarterback Nathan Karp at Ledford High School went on the road to Clinton High School. You know, they're a big-time two-way powerhouse. 7 for 12, eclipsed 1,000-yard mark on the season. Added 109 yards rushing in the game. Boom. Nathan, you get a game ball. Tamari Blackburn at Carver High School. This is last time we talked about Carver High School. Boy, they're getting it done this year. Tamari is now at 1,142 yards, 165 yards, and they'll win Friday night against Bishop McGinnis. Tamari, you're getting a game ball. Justice Dorsett, this is the second time we've talked about this young guy, North kind of seems to be some 1A guys here. For 165 yards Friday night, and they're winning over undefeated Bartlett Gaines. 800 yards TDs, averaging 8 yards carry. That's a lot of eight. Comparison receivers, Nevin Tucker had a solid game Friday night against Eastro and has 29 receptions on the year. That's among the leaders in 3A. Had 235 yards against Lincoln. He's a big timer. Levi Andrews, defensive player over at Avery County, leading the state in 102 tackles. I think the bell's about to ring. Boy, I don't care. Before I don't care. 102 tackles. That's big time. Good job for you. Good job for you. And finally.
Okay, I don't know what's going on with 60 Seconds with Chris. We'll fix that. We'll put it on the internet for you guys later on. I don't know what's going on with the sound on that. He was really cool. He has some really cool game balls. We'll get that sorted out. But Sam, we got Win Barley here from Marsh Park High School, fresh off kicking the game-winning field goal against Cardinal Gibbons on Friday night. Win, is there pressure when they call on you to go out there and win the game?
Yeah, of course, but that's what I trained for. There's a lot of pressure. It's at home, but it makes the celebration a lot better and sweeter.
Did anybody buy you lunch this week?
No one bought me lunch. I brought my own. I bought myself lunch.
You got a lunch pail?
You got to buy the man lunch. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, you got a lunch pail you bring with you, or you got what you bringing to the lunch?
My little bag, reusable bag, Harris Teeter bag.
My man, that's what I'm talking about. Hey, I'm just curious. Did kids eat the school food at Myers Park? Because I deal with that on a everyday basis. They're like, I don't eat the school food. I'm like, why not?
Yeah, a lot of people complain about it, but still a lot of people eat it. I ate it up until like sophomore, and we were virtual then too. So really, just this year, I started packing my own stuff.
Good deal, man. Well, how far was the field goal you kicked to win the game?
I think it was 28, 29, around then. And went over top of the upright, so it looked even better on my camera. On my Twitter feed.
Really? It was just like it was a no chancer. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about Marsh Park season. You guys played a really tough schedule. That was a huge win on Friday. I mean, these guys are telling me that Cardinal Gibbons is definitely a state championship contender. You guys took them down. So, what does that say for you guys the rest of the season?
Well, I think we built our team up a lot of chemistry. Coach Fuller focuses on not making mistakes, and on the special teams. I think special teams did their job, and we made less mistakes, and that led us to a close game that we eventually won.
Yeah, and what about who you got this week coming up?
AK. It'll be a good game. We're ready though.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you ready for Sam Griner? Is the question.
I hope so. I'll have to see.
I mean, don't try to play like you don't know what's going on. I know you know the questions. I don't have a clue. I mean, it's the same thing. Langston, I know he's a hate.
Why do you always think these kids know the questions?
Study these aspects.
Oh, he's been iced, actually. No.
He gives you categories. It's okay.
Why do you think these kids know the questions? You say that.
It's okay. They're geared to them half the time. I got to stay on you, or you'll really get me bad. So I got to keep it even by criticizing a little bit.
All right. When you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Brother, I'm not MJ, just Coach Griner, but I'm the GOAT of the game show.
That's a good-looking guy right there. Definitely a good-looking guy.
That's the reason why you got to take me down, Win. I'm tired of hearing about the little guns and
Do my best.
the eyebrows. I'm tired of all of it.
That's
All right.
it.
Question number 1, Mr. Dale. Here we go.
Yeah, how do I phrase this? Wake Forest last won the ACC championship in 2006. Who did they beat in the final? A, Georgia Tech. B, North Carolina. C, Clemson. D, Florida State.
All right, Win, you're the away team. You got to go.
I don't know. Clemson's been good recently, so I'm going to have to go with Clemson.
Clemson, C. Samuel, what is your answer?
It's not Clemson. Man, it's either Florida State or Georgia Tech for some reason. I don't know which one. Hold on, let me think. I'm gonna go A. Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech's your answer? Final answer?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
You got it right. I swear. All right, Win. Now he's going to play all kinds of. He's going to play all kinds of funky games.
Up, Gary.
He's about to go 4 corners on you. He's about to play all these little funky games. But you still can make a comeback. I have faith in you. Chelsea, hold on, let me get up on the screen. Let's go.
All right. Who is the leading rusher in the ACC right now? A, Sean Tucker, Syracuse. B, Mateo Durant, Duke. C, Jashawn Corbin, Florida State. D, Ty Chandler, North Carolina.
Samuel.
I'm going to go B.
Okay, Durant from Duke. What do you got, Win?
Well, since I got to win, I can't tie. I'm going to have to go with D.
D, Ty Chandler. No, the answer is A, Sean Tucker.
And I wanted to go A, but I was like, there's no way you went double A's on me. Man, I should have trusted A.
See, Sam, I had to play with you because
I know you do. Like, I was like, there's no way he goes AA. I was like,
I know you always trying to figure out like these little
Patterns?
Little patterns. Thank you for the word. I was losing my word.
Yeah, no.
All right, here we go, Dan.
Okay. Number 1 show on Netflix is about cash-strapped contestants playing children's games. Name it. Boy, I don't know this one. A, Squid Game. B, Awake the $1 Million Game. C, The Challenge. D, Sugar Rush.
Wins on you.
I feel like it's a little obvious because it's the $1 million game, but I'm going to have to go with that one.
B, the $1 million game. Samuel.
Yeah, I like B too.
The answer is A, Squid Game.
Oh my God, you AAA in us?
That would have been my guess because of Squidward, but I don't know.
Golly, that was a tough one.
I've never seen it, but that is the.
I didn't know there was such a game. Show.
Never seen it.
They have money attached to them. I'm confused.
I've never ever seen the show. All right, Chelsea.
Can we get some Titletown questions?
No.
Which Panthers quarterback has the record for most passing yards in a season? A, Cam Newton. B, Jake Delhomme. C, Steve Berlin. D, Kerry Collins.
Man, this is tough. This is very tough.
I bet Mr. Cowboy in the back knows.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Jake Delhomme, B.
Jake Delhomme. What you got, Win?
Well, I got to change it up again. MVP, Cam Newton.
Cam Newton. The answer is Jake Delhomme. He threw for 44 of 36 in 1999.
Jake was the boy.
Boy, I'm putting the brakes on the boy right here. Now, hey, you got to win Friday night. Congratulations. You get one here tonight, though. I'm going to tell you that.
It's fine. It's fine.
Well, that is true, but we're gonna do this last question anyway. And it is Dale on the question.
Okay. Who is the leading scorer in UNC basketball history? A. Michael Jordan, B. Phil Ford, C. Tyler Hansbrough, D. Antoine Jameson.
When it's on you.
Hansbrough.
MJ's got to be, right? Well, I'll go with Jameson. D.
Jameson. All right. Providence kid. What you got, Sam?
It's either B or C. I'm going to go C, Tyler Hansbrough.
Dang, Sam, you just won in the landslide today.
Yeah.
Nothing. Tyler Hansbrough. When I was counting on you, man. I knew you were going to come in here and take
I did a Ric Flair. I know. That's what I'm saying, Gary. I needed I
just knew you were. But look, man, good luck to you
this
guys.
Is me riding.
You guys got a chance to make a definite run in the playoffs. I mean, anytime you beat Cardinal Gibbons, that's a team that definitely has a chance to beat us. So good luck to you guys. Thanks for coming on the show, all right?
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right,
if you see him in person, feel free to kick. You're a kicker. Feel free to kick. You got one free kick.
All right, man. Take care, man.
Great having you on, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Sam got lucky today.
Listen, the one thing you better know about me, I don't believe in luck. Purpose and opportunity to be great, baby.
Purpose and opportunity to be great. Well, Chelsea, I'm hoping your video doesn't have echo issues, so we're going to be in Chelsea. So me and Sam got away, and you guys.
All right, so this week I interviewed Olympic athlete Albert Fleming IV, who not only is he a great football player, but also an amazing track athlete. He's someone that Dale recommended. So currently they're 4-1. Most of their games have been out of conference, but with that one game, they're starting out strong with their in-conference play. So kind of wanted to talk to him just about, how his senior year is going, track and football together, and, how they're hoping to get some wins in. Hi, I'm Chelsea Sipple, and today I'm interviewing Albert Fleming IV, who is an Olympic high school athlete for their football team. So, Albert, currently this season, you guys are 4-1, 1-0 in your conference play. Kind of discuss that out of conference, those games, and has it prepared for you, coming up in those conference games?
I feel like those out of conference games kind of like build our playbook. Like it shows like what we need to work on. Even though they're still out of conference game, we still take each game serious. So that shows like what we need to improve on going into conference play where it really matters.
To those who don't know the Olympic high school football team, kind of talk about the culture and what are y'all's expectations this season?
So knowing that Coach Thomas is our head coach now, he's been my head coach in my JV year as a freshman and sophomore year going forward for my senior year. Going from 3-8 and him changing the whole culture and me being side by side with him, going from 8-4 to 6-1. Now senior year, we're going to continue to go on with our want to know every week in a streak. But that's our standard every week is going 1-0 every week and trying to build that culture up.
I like that. And this is your senior year, so kind of talk about some of your goals this season. And I also know you're an awesome track athlete, so some of your goals can be around that or academics too.
So we always fight for the highest. So knowing I want to go out with the championship, that's my main focus this year. Bring my team up, not really focused on more as an individual, just trying to lead my team on and come out with a good win for the whole season.
Nice. And like I said, you guys have mostly played out of conference so far. Do you guys have a rivalry game or an in-conference game that you look forward to the most?
Knowing that they added Myers Park to our schedule this year, I know I played them my sophomore year. I had to play quarterback that game, but this year I'll be able to play my position and hopefully get to play them again. And
Nice.
that's what I'm in.
And to play a team like Myers Park, how would you guys prepare for that?
Just doing our responsibilities, taking each game same way. Don't make the game bigger than what it is. Listen to our coaches and watch film, see what we could do, and come out with the dub.
Awesome. And as an athlete, what keeps you motivated?
I think the goals that I set for myself and knowing that I want to accomplish those, that motivates me. Just waking up, knowing like I want to be in this position. So pushing myself to get where I want to be, I think that motivates me as well as my family.
Nice. And to kind of get a feel of, who you are on the field, how would you describe your game style?
I'm really focused. I try to take play by play, and if I make a mistake, which happens, which our coach tells us all the time, I try not to let it get to us so much, and I just stay in my own zone. Don't let anything get to my head because I feel like that can mess up a lot.
Awesome. And I kind of want to emphasize that you're an awesome dual sport athlete playing or running track and field. Kind of talk about how those two sports, football and track, go hand in hand.
They both, mindset is a big thing in sports. So you can't let your mind get into you too much because that could really mess up a lot. But both sports are both mentality and just staying focused and doing what you want to do, putting your mind to where you want to be. I feel like that's where it goes hand in hand and coming out with a good outcome.
Awesome. Well, best of luck this season. I look forward to seeing how y'all's games turn out. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Great job, Chelsea.
Thank you.
Another great interview. Chelsea, now, see, these interviews seem so composed and these guys seem great. Like, tell us, are there some funny, like, outtakes that you get where a guy will start and, like, bust out laughing or, like, his mom will come in the door asking what's going on? Do you get some of that?
Yeah, that interview last week with Drew Tainter, that probably took like 2 takes. I've known him since 8th grade, and
Got you.
that took a few tries, but we finally got it done.
How is that, especially interviewing someone you've known for so long? And I mean, known each other kind of in a different sense. And now, you're Chelsea. Like, how is that? And you kind of get some hurdles with that now, because of your status and all the great things you're doing?
Yeah, at school, the whole football team watched that, made some jokes about who he mentioned as some of the other players in the interview. And then just some kids in Raleigh have been reaching out too. They see those local interviews and they want to get featured.
That's awesome. So, kind of in line with that, tell people how they can reach out to you? Because again, if I'm an athlete, I would definitely want to get featured by you and get one of these interviews.
Yeah, so my Twitter is at Chelsea Sipple. My DMs are open. Just send something saying you want to be featured. We can set something up. I'd love to schedule an interview.
That's awesome. I mean, Chelsea, you continue to do a great job. And I think we're just blessed that we seamlessly went from Kinsey to you. And I mean, you continuously show how much better you're getting in this. And I mean, I look forward to seeing you in the future, not just in high school, but beyond. But Chelsea, thank you so much for coming on again with us. And we look forward, next week to see who you have and some of the interesting questions that you ask.
I'll catch y'all next week.
All right. Awesome, Chelsea. Hey, Guru, I think it's that time. Me and you
it is that time.
All together. Kind of drop that video for Grice's Gems. Let's do it, Langston.
All right, Coach Grice, it's time. Grice's Gym, the best segment of the show. You're going to highlight the best players in the state from this week. Let's go ahead and get after it. Going up to Greensboro, North Carolina, Northern Guilford High School. We're going to see Jack Gooch and Connor Lacheski. These guys combined for a 3-sack night in their big 43-6 win over a not too shabby, by the way, Southeast Guilford team. Coach, what do we see?
Yeah, I mean, you knew Coach Bates was going to have, Southeast Guilford be a quality team, but let's talk about Northern Guilford here. Anytime you have a dominant win over a good program, we know defense has to be at the core of it. And no, I'm not hacked. I am saying that correctly. Defense has to be at the core of a great win like that. But combining for 3 sacks, I mean, they anchored and spearheaded this defense that really kept Southeast Guilford in trouble all night. We talk about, the Nighthawks having 10 tackles for a loss and 6 additional plays where Southeast couldn't even get a yard. So, I mean, when you have 16 plays in a game where your defense is that dominant and holding the other team to nothing, I mean, these two guys were a big part of that, and that's why they're Grice's Gym.
Yeah, I'm looking at the film right there, and you see Jack Gooch looks like he's lined up as a 5 technique, or maybe I don't know if they had a 6. But having that power there kind of coming off that end. We don't have any film for Lecheski, but just seeing the numbers and what they're able to do, that's got to be a headache for offensive lines, for the coaches, for offensive coordinators. That's got to be tough to deal with.
Oh, definitely, 100%. I mean, again, guys with dominant performances like that, hey, we've got to highlight them for Grice's gym. So glad they can make it. Again, Connor, get that film in next time. We want to highlight and show some of the amazing plays that you made.
Yeah, Northern Guilford undefeated, moving on up in the rankings. I certainly think that they're going to be a force come November. Let's go to the eastern side of the state. This is one of the 2 most dominant programs, or one of them. The other one I consider to be Cardinal Gibbons, who's lost a few, but still they went out and played everybody. But Cleveland High School, Amari and Hampton, what these guys are doing, 265 yards rushing Friday night, 5 touchdowns against South Garner. That was a 4-1 South Garner team coming in Friday night. I think he's the real deal.
Oh, I mean, and we've, given so much praise to Marion Hampton. He's been a guy that's been doing this for a while. And again, another game in which he's shown exactly why, 1, that UNC has him on the radar, and 2, why he's one of the best players in the state and someone we continually have highlighted as, one of the best players we see. Again, 265 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns and a big win. He's a guy that Cleveland counts on, that knows that, hey, when we start this game, we've got to get this guy the ball, and he's going to produce in a major way, and he did so.
And I look at him right here, and he is a big player, a big frame, low to the ground, but yet stocky, yet fast. He's got that rare combination of speed and the ability to run between the tackles, incredible vision. By the landscape of what I've seen in Chapel Hill, I do think he's a guy that can contribute day one on campus for the Hills.
Agreed. And I mean, we're seeing that a lot with a lot of these, big time North Carolina recruits going into Chapel Hill and being immediate contributors. I think you can add his name to the list if he does choose to go there. So, salute to you, Amari and Hampton. Again, hey, Grice's gym, you balled, definitely got the call there.
Well, back here in the Queen City, Coach Justin Harden has the Latin program going in the right direction. They had a huge victory Friday night, 24-22 over Perennial Power Christian. Daniel Halton, he had a big night all over the field. What do you see from this guy?
I've seen this guy in person, last fall when the private schools played. I mean, he's one of the most explosive, high-octane, high-speed guy that, they have on the team. If they need a big play on offense or defense, they're getting him the ball. Quarterback Justin Willer is always looking at him no matter what I've seen, even in 7-on-7 games where games don't count. He's always turning his eyes to Daniel Halton. So from the offensive side, not surprised at all. And again, someone that dynamic, as we talked about before, you're going to get that guy, in positions, whether it's punt returns, kickoff returns. Halton needs the ball in his hands as much as possible for them to win. And then on the defensive side, he was able to produce in a major way with 10 big tackles and 2 TFLs. A performance, and we always talk about the Grice's Gyms formula. You got the versatility where you're playing both sides of the ball. You're impacting, in a third way on special teams. And you're able to do all 3 of those with success and making major numbers. You got to get the call there. So glad to have Daniel Halton on here as a Grice's Gym. And I think he's an alum here as well. So glad to have him back.
Absolutely. And I like highlighting these schools. I think sometimes you got some guys who think that those private schools aren't on the same level of public schools. I disagree. I think that they can absolutely strap it up and play with them week to week. So a great job, the Latin program. Staying right here in the Queen City, West Charlotte, Josh Mahatha, 7 touchdown passes in Friday's win over West Mecklenburg. That's a 14-year school record set by Darius Thomas. Anytime you're setting or breaking a record in the West Side WC, that's got to be a big-time deal.
Hey, man, we laugh about this with Griner all the time. I mean, 7 touchdowns. There are probably seasons that he didn't have teams to throw for 7 touchdowns, man. But Josh has been a quarterback that's been talented since day one. He was an all-conference quarterback as a freshman. A guy that we know that, if he's on, he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the city. I mean, you see those numbers of 13-16. You talk about those high percentage passing afternoons. I mean, 13-16, 339. So you big throws to some of his talented receivers. Again, a night like this when you're on, you're producing big numbers and you're able to establish yourself as one of the best in the city. So salute to Josh. He's had the ability, ever since he stepped into the high school arena. And again, if he's on, he's going to be one of the best out here.
Well, I really like those all gold uniforms. That's a really good looking look that Coach Griner has implemented there. So props to you on that. I'm sure the kids love it. And finally, you ball, you're going to get the call. We certainly had to give this guy a call. Marquise McCombs, Chase High School. I think this guy is surging. I don't mean moving into the picture. He is surging and inserting himself into the picture. He is going to be heard. 362 yards, 5 touchdowns Friday night. Man, this guy's got it going on.
Oh, my goodness. And I think it's a record for us. A first going into fresh faces one week to Grice's gyms the next week. And to do that, you got to have the numbers like he had, 362 and 5 on the ground from 29 carries, and additionally having a catch for 9 yards. He did it all in this game. And you talk about offense. I mean, 370 total yards. And again, he was already the leading rusher in North Carolina. But to come back and put this type of performance in over McDowell, we know isn't an awful team, but a team that's going to show up and do something, to put those type of numbers in, I mean, that's amazing. And again, got to give the call to a guy like this. I'm excited to see where we put him, and we got to talk about him, approaching Mr. Football territory.
But let's look at this. McDowell, I believe, was 3-1 going into this game, a 4A school, a big-sized 4A school. And you can look at that film. Those are some big boys. That's a physical-looking ball club he's running against. And for him to put forth those numbers, he is an incredible talent. And you're right. I think that McCombs can go from fresh face, Grice gym. He very well may be near the top of the Mr. Football Award by the time it's all said and done.
Definitely. I mean, it's, great to highlight such talent like this. And I think, with our charge, of going from Dare to Cherokee, we're going to find the best talent and highlight them. So, again, you have a great performance on Friday night. Highlight, at Guru Chris Hughes, at Coach Jay Grice, at Langston Wirtz Jr. If you ball, you provide the film, you're definitely going to get the call. So please make sure you respond to us and let us know on Fridays. Hopefully we can get you guys in here. Again, as you can see, the bar to success is very high to be at Grice's gym. So have those big performances and let us know.
All right, man, that's big time. Again, week 7, moving on through the season. I think we need to start our own hashtag, Grice's Gyms or something, so that way.
You got to have the Grice's Gym hashtag. That's perfect.
All right, man, let's do it. Hey, again, Grice's Gyms, another week in the books. We'll catch y'all next week.
All right. Hey, another week, Chris. Guru, we got another Mr. Football list. I'm ready to see who's on there.
All right, going into week 7, gentlemen, and just to throw it out there, this list still isn't set in stone. It's still a work in progress and somewhat changes from week to week. And I do not believe we'll do any cutting of the list until the following of the regular season, moving into the playoffs, where we really see who the real contenders are. But there you see them right there, no change at the top. Marion, Hampton, Cleveland, Dalen, Hollywood Smothers still right there. Jalen Walker holding tough. We seen Tad after that big game Friday night. Tad Hudson over at Huff move up. Harrington holds tough. Barnett over there at Grimsley. Jacob Newman continuing to look good, gentlemen. Lucas Lindhoff takes a little bit of a drop Friday after their game. Pierce moves back into it and moves up. And I'm here to tell you guys, after seeing him with my own eyes, I'm not so sure Pierce may not be one of the most talented gentlemen in the state. Hamilton at Hickory Ridge continues to impress. Summers at Davie, Fortune, Marquise McCombs. We just seen the feature on him. Look at him moving up. Jaden Brooks at Princeton, Malachi Hamrick at Shelby, and Byron Brown. Gentlemen, that's your 16. I'll throw it out here for some thoughts.
I think we need to figure out maybe another Huff defensive player. Huff's defense is really balling out right now. So
Friday night, Michael Pepe, the middle linebacker, was all over the field. He filled every gap, making tackles sideline to sideline. I really liked him, and I don't have the name, but number 4, the corner, was really excellent as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I think, especially with Huff, I feel like they're just such a great cohesive unit. I mean, if we get into to talking about them, and I mean, even this year, I think they're so balanced. I want to say, to me, it's one of the best defensive outfits that Chachi's put out there in a good while. And I mean, seeing that, on display against Chambers was definitely something. But, Guru, I know you were at that game, and I know you saw James Pierce. Of course, and Griner himself had the game plan against him for years, but just curious of your thoughts, and especially with this big move, and just kind of your opinion of him.
He's so long, athletic. I mean, just a big tall, lean-looking player, but he's just able to make moves there on that defensive line to get himself around the blockers, to get in the quarterback's face, whether making the and it didn't matter if they were trying to run away from him to him. He just seemed to always be there making the plays. He's just one of those guys that, every now and then you've got a type of player that you have to account for on the field at every time if you're that QB or that OC, and he seems to be it right now.
I agree 100%. I mean, good we got Marquise McCombs in there again. I think he's, the third leading rusher in the nation right now with over 1,300 yards. I mean, that guy, you don't want to talk about exploding on the scene. I really, am excited to see him there as we got him on the list. But, no, there's some quality athletes on this list. And, again, as we talk about, if you're not on here, you're going to have to show your work for sure. But definitely some good guys. Alex, your thoughts on Mason Fortune here from Millbrook? I mean, he continues to stay on this list. Can you talk about him and just some of the reasons that you really vouch for him as well?
Absolutely. Mason Fortune doing a fantastic job leading a Millbrook team that is 5-0 for the first time since 2010. And obviously he has quite a bevy of talented players with whom to work, with the likes of Wesley Grimes at wide receiver, who's headed to Wake Forest. And there's always a talented pool of skilled position players at Millbrook. Mason Fortune and Millbrook will have quite a test this Friday at Heritage in a realigned conference. Millbrook moving up to a conference with the likes of Heritage, Rolesville, Wake Forest. So very, very competitive conference. This will be the first conference test for Millbrook, and we'll see what Mason Fortune can do to continue the high octane output that Millbrook has put out under his leadership. 5-0 thus far, but very impressive so far. We'll see what they can do against a quality Heritage team.
Understood. No, that makes perfect sense. I look forward to seeing what he's able to do. Gary, I know you, of course, a big Chambers supporter. With Hollywood there in the top, of course, at 2, it seemed like it was a little, he had struggled to get it going a bit against Huff. Can you talk about his performance there and just kind of why he maybe, wasn't able to kind of go up to that one spot again?
Well, I think when you're playing Chambers, you got to pick your poison. And I think Huff realized that the way to make a team one-dimensional is to stop the run and then take your chances with the pass. And from what I understand is they put 8 in the box, and that was their game plan to stop Hollywood, to make it tough on them. And put Chambers in a position where they had to play catch up. And when you're playing catch up, then you kind of get away from the running game. And that's the strength of the Chambers team is the running game with Hollywood. So apparently Huff did a great job on keeping the big play, keeping down the big play. Chambers excels at the big play. And he had some tough sledding. I think he still probably had a great game, but it was against some tough competition. And, that's going to be the toughest competition they probably face all season. And I'm sure he will have a bounce back game on Friday night, regardless of who they play.
Yeah, of course, that'll be next Friday night. Of course, they are playing, as I call it, Open University this weekend as they get some well-needed time off. Dale, I know you're always our Southern correspondent. Jacob Newman keeps climbing up, and I think this is his highest ranking or one of his close to his highest ranking at 7. Can you talk about him? Of course, a big game 2 weeks ago beating Catawba Ridge, but then running wild. I think it was Berry this past weekend with another big game. Can you talk about what you've seen from him and why you think he deserves his 7 spot?
He's a great, strong runner with vision, always looking for a place to go. I think unlike any of the kids, some of these kids, I love our number 2 pick there. That kid's just extremely athletic, and that's not to say that Jacob is not. Jacob's blessed with a fantastic line to run behind. I think probably the best line that we're going to see play when you guys get a chance to see them. But Jacob is he's right at 800 yards right now. I think he's played strong in every game. He does have some benefits of South has other weapons that they can use, so you can't focus like maybe Huff was able to do Friday night. You can't focus on shutting him down because they do have other weapons. So I think he's a great complement to that team. And just talking with the young man, I tell you, I don't think you'll meet or talk with a more humble individual. He never asked me. I had a meeting with him last week, and he never asked about this list, where he was at, what he could do to get to go up on it. He talks about his teammates. So I just wanted to throw that in there. I think he's a great young man.
That's great to hear, and I agree with you 100%. I've met him, and I echo those same sentiments. But just let everyone know, with our Mr. Football watch list, excuse me, this list will be cut down eventually to 12, and then at the end of the season, we'll have the top 3 or the 3 finalists live on our show here on Talking Preps on a Tuesday night in the future, and where we will name the winner of Mr. Football for the 2021 season. So fall 2021 season, I guess, with, of course, COVID having a spring 2021 season. But, we're excited. Again, some great conference games with these teams and some players meeting up. So we'll be excited to see who can be in that top 3 and eventually who will be the winner. With that being done, let's go ahead and move to Fresh Faces.
All right, Coach Grice, can you believe it's finally, or not finally, can you believe it's week 7 now for the high school season? Man, where has it gone?
I don't know. I mean, that's always one thing we tell our kids. Enjoy the time because you don't know how quick it's going to go. Been doing this for a while, not as long as you, Guru, but every year, I swear, we're going faster and faster.
Well, man, we're going to move to Fresh Faces, and I've got to say, you've got a fresh face. I haven't seen that face for a while. What's that do?
Hey, had to clean up a little bit, it's getting towards that mid-season, getting ready for that playoff grind. So wanted to get a little fresh face to match our fresh face time here. So I'm ready to go.
Or could it be that you're expecting to grow a really big playoff beard and you want to start from scratch? Is that it, maybe?
Oh, that's it too. I told the kids I've got to clean this off to get this going to really grow something big. So hopefully I won't be cutting this beard for a long time.
All right, man. Well, hey, let's go ahead and hit it right here. Fresh Faces. Harding High's Alan Ivy went from 125 pounds to 195. That's not unprecedented. I've seen it, but that's one heck of a transition, Coach.
Oh, that is. And I mean, especially getting to that program, got Coach Smith over there, Coach Van Smith, he's a defensive guy. If you're going to play ball for him, you've got to hit that weight room. And, you got a lot of great kids. Of course, we know Coach Griner was over there and, they got some talent over there. So, good that he locked in with some of the more talented kids over there to get right. And I mean, he's going to be a problem again at 5'11", 195. That's somebody on that defense that you got to watch out for.
And just to talk recruiting for a moment, that 5'11", 195, that puts you in that threshold. If you've got the talent, you're kind of getting up there into the, you're going to get looked at by some bigger schools. It gets you out of that D2 mold and propels you up into some of the Group of 5 or Power 5 schools. So we'll certainly keep an eye out for him.
Definitely. I look forward to it. And again, Harding in that conference, as they're building up, they're a real young team and are starting to get older. Look for a guy like him to help, those young kids on that team, make sure they're ready to go and try to surprise some teams this year to get a couple of quality wins.
All right, Coach. Let's go to the Piedmont area up towards your old stomping grounds, Alamance County, for Kavari Hightower. This gentleman's at Graham High School. He is among the top 5 in North Carolina for receiving yards this year. What do you see?
I mean, he looks like a traditional slot guy. I mean, I love how we get, guys, even though they may play the same position, they do a lot of different things. I mean, 22 catches, 561 yards receiving, lets again, this guy's an explosive kid. We're seeing him catch some shorter routes, lets he definitely has what it takes to take that ball from a short 2 to 4 yard catch, but be able to turn that into 60 or 70 yards. So, I definitely am excited to see some of the, different type guys, like a traditional slot here that can take that ball. And as we can see, it looks like he can go get missing real quick.
Yeah, it looks like they kind of use him like Florida used Percy Harvin in the day, kind of put him in the slot, get some carries out of the backfield. I think he's got a big future for him. Let's stay in Greensboro and look at Jaheim Pittman, and I might be going a little bit too fast for the video right here, but Dudley High School, Jaheim Pittman at the defensive lineman. I know we always talk about it. We got to spotlight these defensive line guys, 6'3", 295-pounder.
Oh, definitely. And we scrimmaged him early in the year. And I mean, one thing about Dudley and, leaving that scrimmage, they have, even though they're quote unquote 3A, I mean, they have, a defensive line that could rival any with any team that we play or that we see all year. So, he was one of the core linchpins there. And I mean, what is it with the 3-3-6 and defensive linemen? I mean, we talked about Shaw before, Grimsley, he's got another guy there on the D line. I can't recall his name right now. And then you have Pittman here. It looks like the 3-3-6 really has, some great defensive linemen. And I mean, hey, if you're going to run the ball up there, you better make sure that you have him accounted for in your blocking scheme.
Now, defensive line play has always been a staple of Coach Stephen Davis's program. I love the little wait for it icon right there, and allow the play to look. And there you go. He's going to make the play right there. That's Jaheim Pittman at Dudley. A great looking player. Averages 9.5 tackles a game. I don't know about you, but that's getting after it.
Oh, that is. I mean, 4th overall in the state also is with 8 sacks. I mean, he's a guy, again, we talk about some of these major lists. We talk about these all-state, designations at the end of the year. I think he's making an early case that you've got to consider him for such an esteemed honor at the end based on his play so far.
Well, the way I've seen the 3A play out, if they don't count for him, nobody's going to stop Dudley from making a very deep run once again in those playoffs. So Coach is going to have to figure that guy out. This last guy, we're going to bring it back down here to the Charlotte region, Forest View High School over there in Gastonia. Camry Reed, 5'11", 175-pound running back. What do we see out of him, Coach?
I mean, again, he's averaging 5.3 yards per carry. I mean, and you see the great catch there. It showed you not only is he great with the ball in his hand and the traditional, running the ball. I mean, you throw that ball out to him and allow him to make the catch. He shows that he can do it whether he needs one hand or two. We talked about Forest View definitely, surging this year, playing a tougher schedule, but, being a team that's really kind of opened some eyes this year, he's one of the main reasons why. I mean, leading his team in rushing, clearly as a punt returner, you can see he's one of the best athletes on the team. And we love it when we're able to transition from defense to offense and put that offense either in the end zone or getting that chance to start off in great field position. But his versatility is shown here, and you see why he's one of the most counted on players on his team.
Yeah, 46 carries, 242 yards, 3 touchdowns. Big-time numbers for him. Coach Chris Medlin's team, they are definitely surging. There's a good chance they can end up in my top 25 rankings this week.
I wouldn't
got
doubt
some losses, but like you said, they've played a really aggressive schedule.
Definitely. No, I'm excited to see that, and we'll talk about that later on. But, yeah, again, you see the reason why. And I love with Fresh Faces. We see teams that are doing well, but with our segment here, we're able to see the why behind it, and that always gets me excited.
All right, man, we've done it again. Week 7 in the book, so we'll do it again next week.
All right. See you, Guru.
All right, Grice, here it's time to look at our games of the week for this week. You see right there at the top, Ardrey Kell at Myers Park. Alex, we've already mentioned this one earlier. I think this is a big one with Millbrook both at 5-0, going to Heritage at 5-0 as well. I think this is that opportunity in that big game to this point for both Fortune and Wesley Grimes to really solidify themselves on that Mr. Football list for sure. Porter Ridge and Marvin Ridge is a good one. Mount Tabor at East Forsyth. A couple really good battles up there in the CPC. Mount Tabor at East Forsyth. Glenn at West Forsyth. We just mentioned Forest View, how great they have looked to this point. They get a chance to really move on up as well on the road against Kings Mountain. I think Kings Mountain's a team that's really surged in this first half of the season, probably eclipsed where I thought they would be. So great job, Coach Lloyd and everybody. Chase at Hendersonville. We mentioned Marquise McCombs and what he is doing on the ground. Gavin and the entire team up there at Hendersonville, they're just putting up incredible numbers. Ledford, we've seen them. Central Davidson, big rivalry game. Franklin at Pisgah, looking here at the other side. AC Reynolds, Asheville. Asheville's really come on strong of late. West Lincoln at Bunker Hill. Cape Fear 71st. Northern Nash at Roanoke Rapids. Hoggard at South Brunswick. By the way, South Brunswick beat New Hanover 6-3 this past week. Terry Sanford Pine Forest, I'm assuming is going to take place. I know they've been struggling with getting some games in down there. Eastern Alamance at Williams may be a better game than many are realizing. And then Midway at Clinton, Hartford at Northeastern. And Alex, talk a little bit about this Fuquay at Cleveland game.
In all honesty, the game won't be very competitive. It is an opportunity, though, to see a number of featured players. I'd like to talk about. I mean, we all know Omarion Hampton. He speaks for himself. Let's take an opportunity to contemplate Omarion Hampton on defense. He is a two-way player and is a very stout linebacker as well. Obviously, we only see him because one of the biggest things that Cleveland coach Scott Riley has to do is manage Omarion Hampton's minutes on both sides of the ball for obvious reasons, looking to make that big playoff push. But beyond Omarion Hampton and Skylar Locklear, the quarterback, who's very, very impressive, another Division I signing, recruit. And it looks at some of Cleveland's younger players like a Cameron Goins, who's very, very good wide receiver, which gives Hampton and Locklear another skill position complement, which makes Cleveland very, very good. Fuquay Varina, that's old school football right there for you. Jeb Hall is going to line it up, and they're going to play hard-nosed smash-mouth football. You'll see a lot of power eye, a lot of fullback sets, a lot of simple off dives, off left tackle, off right tackle. The young man I really like for them, Connor Chaparral, their fullback, who had 60 yards on 10 carries on a winning drive over Holly Springs earlier this year in Fuquay Varina's first game back in its home stadium after the campus was overhauled over the last couple years or so. Chaparral is a two-sport athlete, including lacrosse. He's very fun to watch and just reminds you of why that hard-nosed, smash-mouth, old-school football, grinded-out mentality works so well for Fuquay Varina. On paper, the game might not be very, very close, but it is an opportunity to watch two different styles and why they're so effective.
So even, kind of into that, Alex, follow up, everyone talks about and sees, Omarion Hampton being there as our number one guy right now. One of the biggest complaints or people that, really fight for 704 football is to say Cleveland and Omarion himself have not been tested enough. Could you speak into that and kind of give your thoughts as to him as a player and, what, I guess, if that's true?
Anybody who puts up 50 points a game consistently is doing something right. I think the other thing to keep in mind is that Omarion Hampton did not play the second half of last season, including the entire playoff run for Cleveland. And look where Cleveland still ended up with an opportunity to claim a 3AA state championship. Now, I know this is different this year as Cleveland has ascended to the 4A level, and Cleveland is competing amidst the rigors of a very stout 4A East without the subdividing this year. So we're talking about Cardinal Gibbons, Cleveland, Rolesville, Wake Forest is going to find a way to be there, Leesville Road, Richmond County, Pinecrest, going back and forth, battling to get out. I'm sure I forgot somebody in there, but Cleveland is proving its mettle with its offensive output and its defensive prowess thus far. And remember, like I said earlier, you have to keep in mind that Scott Riley is managing Omarion Hampton's minutes. That would be a different kind of game if the situation called for it. So let's keep that in mind too. So Cleveland is among that group of 7 or 8 teams, very, very good teams who will be vying for an opportunity to come out of the 4A East and play on the last game of the season. We just have to see how the bracketing works out. But if you're scoring 50-plus points a game coming off of a 3AA state final appearance, I'm not going to sneeze at you.
That's good.
All right, guys, well, let's go and talk about our big game for this week and see what Mr. Grice has to say about it. All right, guys, our big game of the week is going to head on down there in what I consider the hotbed for excitement when it comes to high school football in this state, Cleveland County, Gaston County. We've got a big rivalry, a slobber knocker of a smash mouth game between South Point and Crest. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, we had to get out of 704 this week. Oh, Guru, we had to get out of 704 this week. I was excited about this game. I'm excited to talk about it now. I'm stepping all over you. It's going to be a good one. I mean, South Point's 4-1. Their only notable loss was 27-7 to Hickory Ridge. Where you look at Crest, their only loss has been a 1-point loss. I think it was week 1, Guru, to Lawndale Burns. Two teams that are really showing that they're ready to be, major players in 3A. First key, these two are run-based teams. A.J. Riley versus Maury Adams. To me, the better performer is going to be the one on the winning side. A.J. Riley almost has 1,000 yards rushing so far and 12 touchdowns, averaging 7.3 yards per carry. I mean, just amazing so far. Maury Adams has come along as of these last few games. His last game, he had 209 and 3 touchdowns. I think that was over a win against Stuart Kramer, if I'm not mistaken. He's had 3 straight games now with over 170 yards and at least 2 touchdowns. I mean, these two players have been stellar performers this season and are clearly the reason why their teams are successful. The better guy in this game is going to be the guy on the winning side, though. You can book that. The second one, you got to win the turnover battle. I mean, both of these teams, want to maximize possessions as much as possible. With them being run-oriented, that every possession has to count and every possession has to be treated like your firstborn child. So they've got to maximize these possessions and minimize turnovers on both sides. Both teams have been used to success. So the team that makes the most mistakes here is going to be the one I think that's going to lose. And then finally, South Point. I mean, for them, they've got to get over the hump. They haven't beat Crest since 2017. And honestly, the years in which they've beaten Crest, that has been their announcement to the football world in this state that they're ready for big-time football. This is a great opportunity for a great South Point team. I think that they can step and show and say, hey, we're ready to contend for the state title. They can't do that unless they beat Crest in this game. And for Crest, I think it's understood, and I think the opportunity, we know the tradition-rich area that is, that Cleveland County area. They've got to come into this game, make a statement and say, hey, we know Cleveland's better than Gaston. At least that's what they feel, and make their mark in a big-time game and show everyone that, hey, we're still the team that you need to watch out for. So I'm excited. Hey, if I wasn't coaching in a game, I'd find my way out here to this game. It's going to be one of the best in the state this week.
Yeah, and I'll say the real race will be the race for the fans to get there and fill up that stadium. Those that do not know football in Cleveland and even that part of Gaston, they just treat it differently than a lot of parts of the state. Back when the message boards were really big time back in the early 2000s and for the past 10 or so years, that game between Crest and South Point fans will just really bring it out of fans. So they're going to pack the stadiums, lines for the concession stands will be long. That game will be at what is great about high school football. So I know the fans will be the real winners.
Oh, for sure. I'm excited.
All right, man, let's talk about some rankings.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're going to start here at the 1A. Eastern Randolph, they're still at 4-0. They got a big game against undefeated Southwestern Randolph Friday night. Tarboro sticking right there with them, number 2. Mountain Airy continues to be strong. 3, Thomasville at 4. Thomasville is dominated even with some injuries. I think the Bulldogs are going to make a strong playoff push. Robbinsville at 5. They have struggled to get ball games in. In fact, their game tonight or for this week has been postponed as well. Andrews right there with them, Smoky Mountain Conference team. Mitchell County, Mountain Heritage, Murphy. A lot of Smoky Mountain Conference teams in 1A as expected. And then Northside are sticking with them right there in the 1A, guys. That Smoky Mountain Conference just always dominates to 1A. And then, of course, Tarboro in the East.
For sure. I mean, I'm excited. We always talk about, those 1A teams, and it's always about the rematch. They're going to play, those same teams in 4 and 5 weeks. What can you learn from that first game to get ready for that second one? Because I feel like the rankings for 1A, they matter in regards to playoff seeding, but you got to go back and beat that same team twice in a lot of cases.
Yep. And let's look right here at the 2A rankings since it popped up the field. Reedsville has not played in 2 weeks. I think they may actually be playing as we speak tonight against North Forsyth. They've been hit really hard with game cancellations. Salisbury's right there. They have just been absolutely dominant, scoring upwards of 65, almost 70 points in about the past 4 straight weeks. Northeastern had the huge victory over Edenton Holmes. Maiden right there had a tough win over a very, very good West Lincoln team. Shelby kind of just sticking right there with them. Whiteville is a team that I've got my eyes on. They continue to move up. Wallace Rose Hill as well. Hendersonville, they got that big game Friday night against Chase. You see Chase coming in the scene there at number 10 and Burns as well. All good football teams, gentlemen.
They are. So tell me about Mating. I mean, I've seen them. I know they had a huge win over Christ School early. They've seemed to show, that they're a tough team. I think still undefeated. So, what are your thoughts there on that Mating team, Guru?
I think that Maiden team looks really good. I think that they are continuing to get better. They spread the ball out all over the field. They almost look to me a little bit more like what you'd expect out of a good 3A team that spreads the ball around, maybe so much more than a traditional Western North Carolina 2A that's kind of ground and pound. But Coach Will Burns done a great job up there. I think the Blue Devils are a definite force to make it into that 4th or 5th round of the playoffs.
We know our Grider's here.
I'm on the screen. I better be in the deck.
We know our Grider's here. Let's see it.
Let's check it out.
Hey!
We in the hunt, baby. We in the hunt.
All right, guys. These rankings could really change by the end of the night. Scotland, they're number 1, but Jacksonville is in a dogfight right now. They were tied 21 apiece with Greenville Rose here. Game being played tonight. Lee County right there. And don't forget, Jacksonville had that big win over New Bern this past week as well. Kings Mountain, Dudley still in it, 71st, South Point, Hunt, Crest, and there you see them, the big WC. How you feel about that, Sam?
Let's go.
I mean, we still got some work to do, but at least we own the board, baby. At least we own the board.
Let's go. On there. Let's go.
All right. Well, congratulations, you guys. I know it's well-deserved, and you guys have certainly put forth the effort and have looked really good in the process. And let's check out the big dogs. Let's look at the 4A. No surprise right there. Huff moving up into the top spot, but Chambers certainly didn't fall far. Cleveland is sticking right there with them. Grimsley, Northern Guilford, Myers Park, Gibbons. I still think Gibbons is probably a little bit better than that, but you've got some really good teams up there that you want to credit for their wins. East Forsyth, New Bern. Even with the loss to Jacksonville, a very solid Jacksonville, and then Richmond kind of sticking right there with them too. Alex?
Well, the ranking speaks for themselves here. Huff got the job done in the regular season, as we talked about last week, and just like we've spoken about on this show tonight, yeah, you can win the first time, but you're going to see them again. All right, I think we all know that very well could happen. So congratulations to Huff for now. They're where they should be. Chambers is where it should be. And then you just see, like we've spoken about, that whole bundle of teams who can beat each other on a given day, which makes this so exciting and so accurate. I mean, you could jumble up about 3 through 8 and it would still be accurate, which is a great testament to how competitive this classification is this year as it is perennially. So, like I said, hats off to Huff. You got the regular season win, and both schools have given us something to which to look forward a few weeks down the road, possibly, if it happens. And everyone else, just continue battling, because 3 through 8, we could mix it up right now, and it probably still would be pretty accurate.
I think Hickory Ridge could be as good as New Bern. I think they should be in the top 10, to be honest with you. They're a very talented team, and they're very disciplined. Jupiter does a good job with them. I think you'll see them creep into the top 10 as well. They'll be a tough out, and come playoff time, they're gonna win that conference. They're gonna dominate the conference. They're not gonna lose.
Yeah, that was a really kind of a surprise how easily they won last week, because it was kind of close at the beginning, and then the scores were coming back, and it was getting wider and wider. And Christian Hamilton had one of the craziest plays I've ever seen. Block punt return. He went up the right side for a touchdown. I mean, that kid's special. He's number 1 recruit in 2023. I know we talk a lot about other kids in that class, but he's the number 1 recruit. So
he's a very polished runner. He's very fast, but he's well built too. He can take a hit. He can play defense.
Got game speed.
You
put him in a combine, and he might not stand out, but once you put him on the lights on, He's a different kid.
He can run though. He'll run a legit 4.5. I know that for sure.
Yeah,
He can still float.
Well, I've been waiting on this segment all day because I wanted to hear what Gary had to say. Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools lost Chambers AD Carlos Richardson. What we've seen a number of our best talent leaving. So on the flip side of this, Gary, I'm going to throw it to you.
Okay.
All right, so we are on the great debate. And what does CMS need to do, Gary, to retain this talent? Because we keep losing talent.
Well, as far as the ADs are concerned, and congratulations to Carlos, is well deserved. I think CMS could do two things. One, I think they could take classes away from athletic directors. And then two, they need to pay them like an assistant principal, because they supervise an entire athletic program, hundreds of kids, many coaches, a whole lot of sports, a whole lot of money. They have a lot on their plate, as well as keeping accurate records as far as eligibility is concerned. So I think one way you prevent losing good people like this is, as Sam is always saying, you got to pay them. You got to pay them. And for ADs, I think you take away their classes so they have all day to do their duties, and then you pay them like an administrator because they are administrating athletics. So I think that would be my way to keep them.
Sam, I know what you're going to say, but here you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. Pay that man his money. You know, like Rounders, like pay that man his money. I mean, seriously. We're going to lose people left and right. I mean, these guys that are ADs, they need to make close to six figures or over. They really do. Football coaches, they need to make more. Basketball coaches, every coach needs to make more. We spend tons of time. Like I literally say, I do the hours. I spend an extra 40 to 50 hours a week on top of my teaching schedule. And when you do the math on it, you make like 21 cents an hour. I mean, it's literally ridiculous for the pay. We do it. See, I think North Carolina has got this thing. Well, these coaches just love doing it because it's a part of their life. That is true. But eventually, when people realize the talent that someone can provide and help a program, guess what? South Carolina says we can pay these people more. You even heard Aaron Brand say it before. He says North Carolina's probably got more talented players, but the coaches in South Carolina are ridiculously great because they pay them so well. So imagine if we could pay coaches similar to what they do in South Carolina, figure out a way. And I don't care if all the football coaches wanted to be like, I know we can't strike, but I'm saying we could just be like, all right, we'll be teachers then, because every head football coach has to be in the building. We'll just be like, we'll just do the teaching stuff. And then all of a sudden they'll shut that stuff down real quick, and then they'll finally pay people what they're supposed to get paid, to be honest with you.
Alex.
I want to follow up on what Gary said. Gary's absolutely right. Athletics directors need to be assistant principals. Many LEAs, local education agencies in North Carolina, follow this paradigm already. So I want to follow up on what Gary said, a very astute point that Gary made. And I want to give you the multi-step paradigm to make it happen. You add an assistant principal to the administrative team, and that assistant principal serves as the athletics director. That paradigm is implemented effectively already in Cumberland County Schools, so the Fayetteville area. Step number 2, Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools should partner with UNC Charlotte in its Master of School Administration program to afford the opportunity for Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools athletics directors to pursue their Master of School Administration and subsequently be licensed by the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction as a school administrator to justify compensating on the pay scale just from an appearance and legality perspective. Step number 3, the Charlotte Mecklenburg Board of Education should implement a comprehensive professional development program. In other words, put the money up to support fully the educational pursuits of these athletics directors to earn that Master of School Administration credential so as to enhance the public efficacy, just appearance-wise. These are already gifted educators. Just to add another efficacy layer to what they do from a credentialing perspective. Step number 4 is that all athletics directors who pursue this professional development opportunity underwritten by Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools should be paid on the assistant principal pay scale commensurate with the 3-year grace period that teachers receive in pursuing certification as a classroom teacher. Give these athletics directors that 3-year grace period by which they can be paid on the assistant principal scale while working toward that Master of School Administration degree underwritten completely by professional development funds. And
I've heard this same. Oh, I'm sorry.
And then the last step is that once these athletics directors earn that Master of School Administration credential, they stay on the AP scale, and the bonus for earning that credential and being licensed as an administrator is that you reinstitute as a supplement the already existing athletics director's pay scale on top of their AP salary.
Yeah, you sound a lot like Scott.
And that supplement, in addition to them being paid as an AD, once they get that credential, they benefit from both of them.
Yeah, I mean, Scott Chadwick, the former Mars Park coach, used to make an argument very similar to that. Dale, should CMS look into making its 3 leagues more equitable and balanced now since all the teams in one league?
How do you make it more equitable is the question. You try to balance out. Do you balance it so that you've got the strong teams in one conference and try to make the conferences top to bottom have more parity? Do you try to spread it out around, which is kind of what it looks like they do right now, or at least what we have right now? I think that's the question you got to answer: is what is what is the goal? Is the goal to have competitive conferences, or is the goal to kind of spread champions out around the various conferences?
Yeah, well, as somebody who's playing in a 4A conference with 3A teams, Sam, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we should definitely do something where it's very helpful. I'm fine with playing the 4A teams. It makes us battle tested. Tell our guys all the time, we get to play the 2 best teams in the state and then possibly another top 10 in the state as well in Mallard Creek in our own conference. And we don't have to beat none of them necessarily to win a state championship, but we'll be battle tested. So I'm fine with the way that they do it now. I just wish, like I said, we got to figure something out how to compensate coaches so that when a coach becomes very successful, they don't just pack up shop and leave their, take their families to South Carolina or Georgia or something like that. Imagine if we had these coaches here still, Aaron Brand, Paul Mary, many other ones that went to Georgia and South Carolina.
The basketball coaches too. It's not just those guys. I mean, we're losing them in all sports.
All sports, baseball, basketball. Yes.
All across the board. Dale, how should schools handle storming the field or the court after a big win?
So is this about high schools? Because that's so high schools, it's a lot more. I think it's a lot more or a lot easier for them to manage. But in the end, the participants that do the storming have to know that they will face a consequence if we don't want this to happen. So they've got to know that there is a penalty that'll be directed at them, not at the school. Certainly the school should face a penalty, but the students or parents or whomever that's doing the storming has got to understand that it's not acceptable and you will be punished in some manner if it happens. So I think you gotta come up with true punishments. It's certainly a safety issue for both the players, but for the fans, because the opposing players have just lost a game that was maybe a very high emotional game. And we all know that one of the competitive nature of a athlete is that in that kind of situation, they're not the best to be around. They're not the best people to be around. So all you have to do is say one wrong thing to them, and the kid can't hold it, and he could hurt a fan. So it's a safety issue on both sides, and we just got to come up with a true penalty that will make people step back and say, no, I'm not going to do it. It's going to be hard, but it's hard for some fans, I know, because you get emotionally attached as well.
Gary, final word.
I think it's more of an issue in college than it is in high school, and you can throw massive fines in college. In high school, it mainly happens in basketball because, you know, the stands are right up against the court. But like Dale said, you people have to know their consequences for their actions. I think, you know, schools have to be proactive in understanding if it's a rival game or if it's a game that could be a possible upset, especially if it's on a Friday as opposed to a Tuesday. When you have a bigger crowd, then you need to have more security there. And I think that's incumbent on the home team to provide that security. But I know we saw a good example of how things got out of hand between State and Clemson this weekend, and you don't want to see that happen in the high school level.
Absolutely. All right, fellas.
All right, it's time to lock that door, man.
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Do we not have to go music?
I know.
Welcome to another edition of
All right, looks like we might actually get done on time tonight, so we'll get through these quickly. Who's going first? Who's kicking and receiving?
Oh, I'm receiving. I'm taking the ball.
I always defer.
All right.
No, wait a minute, man. See, this is starting to become crap now. He gets like to warm up. Like he's over here shooting jumpers with the great debate.
Yeah,
I'm in the back trying to like get my get my handle going. Like it's it's a lot, man. So I need to take the ball to start.
All right, well, let's go ahead. You're up first, Grice. Why has college football been so unpredictable? Is it the transfer portal, the super senior bonus years? What is it?
Yeah, I think for me, that bonus year definitely has an impact. I mean, especially you look at some of these big teams, they've got guys, the pros are going to go to the NFL. Those guys are going to go. But when you've got a team like at NC State or like some of these other programs where you've got fifth-year seniors that are able to contribute and have been in the offense, they're going to be a lot tougher to get out of there than some of these, highly touted, like a DJ, like a highly touted guy who doesn't have a lot of collegiate experience, but we know is talented. It's going to be a little tougher going against a team that is more experienced, that's been there before, and can execute what their coach needs them to do. So I think that does provide a little bit of the unpredictability of it, but it's college ball. It's why we love college. You got some scrappy kids that are going to go out there and play hard in a hostile environment, and some teams aren't going to be able to get that done all the time.
Yeah, I totally agree with a lot of those aspects that Grice just said. The one thing is like the transfer portal does help teams make a quick jump. Like Michigan State has done that. They were one of the biggest ones at getting transfers in, and it made a huge difference. I even coached a player today, and I asked them, I said, what made you want to go there? They really had a vision, told the kids the vision, let's get after it. And they got like probably 20 guys in the transfer portal. That's a lot. The bonus year is kind of similar. You know how like Virginian basketball, like every 3 to 4 years, they're like unbelievable. They're great on defense. They have a bunch of seniors, a lot of guys that are not quite good enough to go to the NBA after the first year, but that senior year class where they're all together and they're tough to beat. That's what you're seeing some of these teams like the NC States, like Grice said, where the fifth-year seniors, they're really contributing to these teams. And Alabama's really good, but people are catching up this year because of the extra year that these seniors have, because now the good teams are starting to become a lot better and they can become great teams and compete at the highest level. I think NC State can win the ACC. I really do.
I've seen a story. I'm not sure if it was Michigan State. It could have been Illinois. There was already a 6-year senior who had received a medical exemption, a medical red shirt. and took the super senior, and he's in his 7th year. I think he said he's 28 years old, and he's like a man out there on the offensive line.
Yeah.
Bills and everything.
He was enjoying it. He was. All right, guys. Coach Griner, you're up on this one. You're next year on Coach versus Coach. What's wrong with the Clemson Tigers this season?
Well, it's pretty simple. The quarterback play. quarterback play. You go from Trevor Lawrence, who was dominant as a freshman, won a national championship, and then he played 2 more years after that, and you go into a guy that you thought was going to be the guy, but he's not quite nearly as good as we think he is. Now, the other thing is, I think that, I'm going to get myself in trouble here a little bit. I mean, the Clemson staff is always really good. Dabo brings a lot of guys in he likes to enjoy and working with. The offensive line coach, I'll never forget this, Jupiter Wilson was coached by their offensive line coach. And he was also coached by 2 other coaches. And I said, hey, how was he as a coach? He's like, he definitely wasn't the best out of the 3. And I was like, really? He's like, he's just a good guy, but they're not great. He's not great at teaching the details like some of these other guys are. You're seeing a combination of offensive line play not be successful like they've been, okay, because maybe their talent's maybe not quite as good, but you got to be well coached. The NC States of the world, you know what I'm saying? Their O-line is really, really coached, like big time. And I think you're starting to see that difference on top of the quarterback play. That's why Clemson's not that good right now. They're still a good team. They're just not going to compete for a national championship this year.
Yeah, and I think Griner's got it close. I mean, he's got the base level, but it's a step further. I mean, I think, you look at it from an entire picture here. I mean, you got a situation where, you've had some coaches that are used to having talent in certain situations. They've always been able to answer the question of who can we turn to when we need to make a big play. Travis Etienne's gone. Trevor Lawrence is gone. So now you have guys, and again, we know Will Shipley's going to be a fantastic college player as long as he stays healthy. He clearly has shown as a true freshman getting 80-plus yards and a touchdown in a college game. That guy is set up for some big things. But being a freshman, he is not a guy that you can turn to in a big game to say, I need you to get the ball 20, 25 times, and I need you to get 200, 250 total yards of offense like Travis Etienne. So I think you're seeing with offensive coordinator Tony Elliott, he now has to be called on to really find a way to re-engineer this offense to get the ball to guys that can make plays. Justin Ross is their best player on offense. How many touches is he getting? And a lot of times you're seeing the same things. Again, this isn't a different game plan than what they beat Ohio State and Alabama with, throwing a whole bunch of 50-50 balls that they will always use to win and running the ball with Etienne as he made plays to score. It's not changing. It's the players that are changing. And when it's not successful, now who are you going to turn to? And they haven't answered that question yet.
Now remember this: if Will Shipley ever comes back, he probably doesn't even think about our show now compared to when he was in high school. But Grice said that. Griner did not say that. Let's just get that straight, Will.
Oh, it's fine. He's going to be there, but right now, as a freshman, he's not.
Oh, you don't think I can get 25 carries? I'm that dude. I'm telling you, that boy's.
Yeah, I'm sure. I love it. Hey, I pray he does. Prayers up. I hope he's healthy. I hadn't checked his status.
Did he hurt his leg? I didn't.
Yeah. Have they come out and said what he had, or?
I haven't. I
think you're on mute.
All right. Well, I definitely won that debate.
Wow, get out of here! You were first level. You didn't get to the second level.
I just laid
Guru. You're on mute.
Down. It was I laid the foundation down. You're just coming over there and putting little statues up on.
Man, that's hey, you can lay the foundation. When I put it up, everybody's looking at the big house. They're not looking at you pouring the concrete. Nobody cares who pours the concrete. Who's looking to say, "Wow, Griner poured that concrete. Great job, Griner."
Hey guys, thanks for letting me know that I'm on mute, by the way. And yeah, I do think he was hurt. He didn't look good coming off the sidelines last week, and that clip that I saw. But Coach Grice, you're the offensive guy. We're going to go to you again for this question right here. Just one personnel group: 10 personnel, 11, 12, 22 personnel. First number's running back, second number's your tight ends. Tell me which group you go with.
Yeah, and I think for me, growing as an offensive guy, early on I would have said 10 personnel, this and that. For me now, it is clearly 11. Again, that's running back and a tight end. I think it's for one, it's the type of kids you get in high school now. You get that one guy that has better hands than your left tackle, but isn't as quite as big as a guy that can play on the line and is a little bit faster than those guys. And that guy's that perfect guy for that versatility. I mean, he's a guy that you can put in an H-back situation behind the offensive line go out on a pass play. I mean, if you watch our offense at Mallard Creek, we have a guy, Jordan Collins, that's a junior that can do it all. I mean, he had a game against Providence. He had 7 catches for us. Also, as a guy in the box that goes in and blocks the defensive end. I mean, that versatility or having that guy. I mean, he's not even that big. I mean, he's probably 180 pounds or so. 5'9", 5'10". Back in the day, that kid would have just played linebacker and never touched the offensive side of the ball. But because a lot of teams are able to utilize its 11 personnel packages and have a guy that can go out and catch a ball, but stay in and block or stay in and create a max protection situation where you actually have 7 guys protecting your quarterback, that versatility is something that helps bridge that gap between throwing the ball and running the ball. And that's something I'll always use from here on out.
All right, you're going to be blown away what I say.
Well, no, I'm not. 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is this. I'm going 10 personnel right now just because of the time. You have to be able to adjust to what we're doing these days. Now, if I had a stud tight end that was unreal, last year I put an extra lineman in and just said he was a tight end, even though he couldn't run out for routes. He had a lineman number.
That's what I'm saying. People respect that. You have to respect that.
You have to respect it. People are like, they freak out. People guard them anyways, But, yeah, they're tight end, locked in on them. The thing is, 10 personnel, the way I do it, all right, we have an L and an R, okay, and L and R's are slot receivers. Well, they're technically like running backs. We can hand the ball off to them on jets. We can run buck sweep. We have it in the package. We're trying to bring those out a little bit later on, you know what I'm saying? But we technically are in like a 30 personnel. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of funky, but they can spread out. We can use them in bib blocks in the belly concept. So I have a lot of options. And plus I got 4 to 5 receivers that are legit. I got 4 or 5 guys that are really good. I want the best 11 on the field. If my best 11 on the field were 12 personnel and I had 2 tight ends, guess what? If I had a Joe type team at South Meck, we'd be 12 personnel or 22 personnel, so it's all based upon a coach cannot just say, I'm a 10 personnel guy. I'm an 11 personnel guy. He has to be able to say, this is my best 11 people. This is how we're going to adjust. You can still keep your same offense and move on.
I agree 100%. Chris, talk about it. Chris, phone home, Chris.
Hey, what do you think about my 32 grouping? This all backfield, 2 tight.
Football.
Full house, baby.
Hello. We're all here. Hello.
Man, everybody when we all played as kids, everybody's running wishbone.
I was going to ask Chris, in your 32 grouping, do they wear leather helmets?
Come on, man. We won back-to-back conference championships in 4A in 2001 running that.
I was 15. I was 15.
Grice, I didn't know you were like 45 years old.
I am
35. I was 15 and
I am shocked that Sam even knows what a no tight end formation looks like.
Hold on. Langston, we can't
tell him how many
touchdowns. Josh Mata, 7.
Sam didn't call a single play. Sam didn't call
a hey, coach, you got to give him credit.
Walk around like Chucky with the headset on. He's not calling nothing.
Nobody got on Pete Carroll for throwing the ball and not giving it to Marshawn Lynch. We got to give credit to the head coach. 7.
I'm going to tell you something.
No, he's already won more games this year than they did last year, so you got to give him credit for that.
Oh, they're good, man. Like, he beat the heck out of West Meck, man. Goodness. He beat him like they stole something.
Yeah. All right, Samuel, it's time for you to hit the one shot. Big Star, what you got to say?
Thanks for my lights. They're like, I'm blinded, so when I go to bed, just appreciate it, Langston and Shaw Observer. Thanks for sending me some lights. I probably need a new camera, though, so if we're getting things rolling, Logitech, give me a nice updated one. That'd be fantastic. We keep thinking it's the lighting that's blurry. It's need a new camera, baby, and then we're locked and loaded. All right.
Sam, who just got equipment today, is begging for more equipment. This is the type of life I love. My wife said, "Man, you got a package." I was like, "Yeah, it's my lights. Can you go set those up for me real quick?" Now, Sam, y'all remember last year when Sam got talking about his wife, and I called him. I said, "Sam, what'd you sleep last night?" Couch. Careful. Be careful.
Yeah, I did. That's true.
It's true. All right, fellas. Well, we almost made it. 93 minutes. I'm getting closer. Oh, sun drop.
I had to give me some sun drop, Guru. Yes, sir. I got me some today.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you what. If Max Max, I forget if it's restaurant, bar, or whatever. They contacted us, say, hey man, we're thinking about maybe donating. We want to see someone have a different type of helmet like colleges do. I was like, that's like for us for a 45-man roster, that's like 9 G's. I was like, you do that, I'll have tattoos everywhere, whatever it takes.
You put it on the screen, right?
Yeah, right.
All right, y'all. This has been a fun show. We're gonna do it again next week. Tomorrow we'll be on Talker Preps Overtime at 8 o'clock. So you guys tune in for that, and then we'll be back next week at 7:30. We're gonna cut down Mr. Football when Grice and Guru get ready from 16 to 12. I'm not sure when, but should be a fun week. Everybody, good luck this week, Sam. Keep your winning streak going, so you can stay in the poll. You know, at number 10, if you lose, you drop out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're going against Bird, who's a really good coach, but I think we have a better team this year. I mean, I expect to win the game. You expect to win every game you play, but we'll see what we can do. I honestly thought we could beat Malley Creek, and we lost that game. So it can go that way.
You over the sideline. Take what from who? Take what from who, Griner? To let them know. I want the belt.
And
hey, we get rid of those 2 block punts. We might be talking different because if the game, I'm gonna tell you what.
Okay, so that's like saying get rid of 15 minutes of your life.
You guys are seeing what happens like when we're not live. Before we got here, Alex, did you see what Dale has in his background?
I did, and I am just humbled and honored and grateful that, as we all do, and we all have a good time with each other, and I am just moved beyond words that Dale celebrated a milestone today. That is Youngsville Academy, where I am the academic dean and athletic director. And I was a little late coming to the show tonight because Youngsville Academy's cross-country team, which is our first ever interscholastic team at the school, had its first competition this evening. So I was handling my athletic director duties. And I am just so I mean, it's beyond words. I'm so.
Have y'all ever seen Alex smile like that?
Yeah,
student athletes.
That's a good-looking gold. I like that.
My man just cheesing.
That's the only thing about it. Dale made Alex so sentimental tonight. We didn't get any comedy.
I know, right? But I tell you what, the group chat will be blowing up all week. I wish I could publish the group chat for y'all. Oh my God.
Thank you, Dale.
All right, I'm getting out of here. I'm Langston. That's Sam. That's Chris Hughes, the #1 voice of high school football. Jonathan Grice, the coach. That's Alex Bass, the opinionated Alex Bass. Dale Ross, the wise one, and Gary Richmond, my good friend. We are talking preps.
How about them Cowboys?
Walk on, baby.